have a question for you this morning, and it is, do you like when people say nice things about you? For me, personally, I get super embarrassed. We were at a Raymond James Chairman's Council event back in August, and I think no fewer than 10 people gave Idea Decanter shout outs from this stage, and I wanted to crawl under my chair every time someone said something nice about me, which I think is counterintuitive because it's great when people say things nice about you, but for some reason it gets really embarrassing for me. But when it comes to people vetting your business for whether or not they want to work with you, when they hear some authentic client testimonials, it can be really powerful. So I'm glad you're here today. I know, Jamie, this doesn't apply to you, but for the financial advising world, this is just kind of like a brave new world. The SEC ad rule change really opened up the possibilities. Unless you're joining us from Canada, you already had those possibilities. But powerful testimonials really can be a key piece of your marketing plan. And really not very many advisors are using them yet. And some that are, they just aren't doing it very well. So we want to get you on the right track. And that is why I am here. That is why my co-founder Sharon is joining us from Southern California. That is why Tracy is here from Florida. And our special guest, Callie of the Callie Collective from Nashville, Tennessee, who has been working hard on a specific case study we've asked her to talk a little bit about with client testimonials. Callie, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Sharon, I can no longer see your screen. I don't know if that's just
I took it off because, you know,
Okay.
we like to see faces. And I have to say, it might be because I was born under the sign of Leo, but I was not embarrassed when people were saying how fabulous we are, because I actually think we might be more famous than we think we are. And it's a really interesting and fun position to be in.
I definitely think you're more famous than you think you are.
I don't know.
Almost Famous. I think that was the movie.
Yeah, Almost Famous. That's us. We're on the cusp. All right. So Callie, I will get the screen going here and we can take this away.
Awesome. All right, client testimonials. So most of what I'm going to talk about today is what you can do with a testimonial after you have it. I think we'll also talk a little bit about how to get a testimonial. So an example, we've got a case study here, and I'm just going to go over like where we added testimonials for him. We've added it to his website on the homepage and on a landing page. We've added it to his new client welcome documents, a lead introduction email, specifically like Smart Asset. I don't know if any of you are part of that, but when a lead comes in, he has an email that he's sending out introducing himself. And then we've also got in that email, which will show you, hey, check out our testimonials. We've also included it on PowerPoints for prospects, COIs, and acquisitions, meaning if they're trying to acquire a new firm. Because what does that new firm want to know? They want to know that you do good business and have a reputation. So we're going to look at each of these individually. Important thing to remember with testimonials is that you can include it on static content, meaning that people cannot interact with the content and the content does not change based on the user. So you cannot post to social media. You cannot post to review platforms like Yelp or Google Review or Angie's List. All right, so first we're going to look at the website because this is static content. And this is where we're going to drive people. So even though I can't put testimonials on social media or review pages, I can say, hey, check out my testimonials here. and direct them back to the static content. So on his website, we've got on the homepage, hey, see what our clients have to say about us. If you click on that, it's going to take you to a landing page for the testimonials. So we've got a header, and then we've created a little slideshow. So for each testimonial, and he has written from emails or letters that people had sent in. We've copied those and we put them in with just their first name and who they are.
Hey, Callie, can I interrupt for a second and ask you kind of about the collection of those great client testimonial quotes? You kind of alluded to letters.
Yeah.
In this situation, was it like he'd kind of socked away every nice thing for a while?
Yes, he had a paper folder full of like letters that people had sent, maybe after an event, hey, or after they received a gift. And they had signed like, hey, we really appreciate our relationship with you. And we were really, you know, we felt so grateful for the gift that you sent us. Those sorts of letters, he had a whole package of over a few years worth. So it was a great place to pull it from. The caveat I will add though is if you decide to do that, Raymond James requires you have your testimonial person fill out a consent form. So if you've got years worth of stuff, you're going to have to go back to your client and say, hey, would you fill out this consent form allowing me to share this?
Yeah, and if you're, like Callie said, Raymond James has a 2-pager that you can just request. If you're RIA, you might just consider putting together some sort of release of your own to have them sign off. You could look up like model release or something like that. And then the other way he collected testimonials besides this file he had been keeping was in person, the ask, right?
Yep. So in meetings, at the end of the meeting, asking, you know, obviously you're going to be asking clients who you have a good relationship with. So at the end of that meeting, bringing it up, hey, would you be willing to just say a few words about us and your experience? You know, it's a really easy question to receive, like, hey, would you just share your experience? And then he would follow up with an email later to the clients. He'd have his executive assistant when they would reach out after the meeting with follow-up. Hey, these are the things that we're going to be doing next. These are the things we need you to do. By the way, we just wanted to check in on that testimony or on your experience. Would you still be comfortable sharing, etc.? Because people do forget. I will say that. This was one of our goals for the first quarter, was to get 5, and it took a full quarter to get 4.
I like knowing what your strategy was behind it. And it was setting a goal, how many people you wanted, deciding on the tactic, how are we going to collect these, and then going through the file that he'd kept. So it's really interesting because I think it applies to everyone on this call.
Oh yeah.
Callie, do you think there's a sweet spot of like where in the relationship is the best touch point to ask for that referral? As far as how many years you've been in business with them, or?
That's a good question. I would say it depends on the relationship more so. If they've been with you a long time, yes, there's some sense of loyalty there. But I also think a newer client who comes in and has had a good experience, and maybe they've even mentioned to you like, wow, this has been such a change of pace from my last advisor or something along those lines. I think that would be a great opportunity to ask for, hey, could I share your words?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've got the website. Let's look at some of the other places that we link back to it. So in the PowerPoints, it's a really simple slide. And you could do a QR code as well if you're doing a webinar. This particular PowerPoint, they're doing in person. So we just have the link there. And it's just a simple link back. Hey, check out what our clients have to say to us. Again, we're using this in PowerPoints that are a pitch to prospects if they're trying to acquire a firm, or COI, so meeting within a state attorney saying, hey, this is what we can offer. Also check out what our clients say. You know, you're safe referring people to us. The next one, I am curious how many people on here have welcome documents. Is that something that you include? Okay, I see a couple of nods. So we have a packet for new clients. It's got a series of documents. The top one being, hey, this is about us. And then we've also got like what to expect, what the process is. Here are some of your resources. But then we also included, hey, here are the testimonials. This one is different, where we actually included 3 of the ones we thought were the best, and we typed them out in full on the page. But then we have a link at the bottom. Hey, we've got more testimonials at our website. And again, on the website is that slideshow of all the testimonials they've received. This is the lead introduction email. So this is just an example. This is used with Smart Asset. So they get a lead in. It's usually pretty cold lead. That's somebody who's never heard of them, had any contact. So it's like, hey, we got your name from here. This is why we're contacting you. This is who we are. Great time to put a link to your bio video. And then also including, also check out our website and our testimonials, see what or how our clients have kind of experiences they've had with us. And then linking back again.
I do love the term experience rather than, you know, what people are saying. I think that's a great term to use. Did you have anything else before we jump into using testimonials in video format?
I don't think so. I think the important pieces are static content, and then thinking about, even though you can't use the dynamic platforms, meaning social media or something people can interact with, you can't put the testimonial there, but we could always, like, looking for the workarounds, like, oh, we can drive traffic back to the website where the testimonials are. That is okay. I think keeping that in mind, along with setting a goal, and remembering that you have to have consent form.
Well, I am constantly surprised with how excited clients get when they're asked about their experience. They're asked to share in this kind of client testimonial collection phase. I talk to a lot of advisors who say, yeah, I've got, you know, clients I'm thinking of, but it is routinely the feedback they get when they ask is that the clients are really honored that you came to them. They're excited to be involved. And that was definitely the case with the story Sharon's about to show. Sharon, do you want to kind of set this video clip up from this testimonial?
Yes, well, so Detroit, or were we? Completely spaced out. And we came into Chuck's home here to film him. One of the things I really wanted to talk about is that when you are creating client come on camera to give you a testimonial, I do think it's valuable to have a third party, a neutral party, ask those questions versus you asking the questions to them. And I do think that the Q&A style feels a little more honest and a little more off the cuff than having something very scripted. And in today's, you know, day and age, things that feel authentic, things that feel unscripted have a little more clout than something that's a little bit too perfect. And I would say, if you are doing this with a client, just let them know that they can stop and start over anytime, because I think people get nervous on camera And it's always nice to know that you have ultimate redos. What I love about this is that we're not talking about how much money he made. He's talking about how much he loves his life. So here, take a little listen.
Bottom line is Arizona is my happy place. I love being outdoors. I love exercising, hiking, biking, all of that stuff. I was in Arizona vacationing, but one of my goals was to close on and find a place as a second home. And I knew that there was going to be some needs from Dan and Blue Chip. This market in Arizona is sort of crazy, so you had to act fast. If I didn't, I would have lost the condo. And they were on it just like that. And the monies were transferred, the earnest money, the final payment. I probably should have pulled the trigger about 10 years ago. But as my portfolio has grown with Blue Chip and I felt more comfortable with how I'm going to live into retirement or semi-retirement, I decided that now's the time to pull the trigger, and it was a great move.
So that was just a little clip of Chuck's story. I think it was more like 2.5 minutes full runtime. You kind of learned about the business that Chuck had built, and you hear him say more great things about Blue Chip. But if you think about the way you speak with clients and prospective clients about it not being about the money, it's really about the goals. Finding stories that can illustrate the goals will bring that to life as people watch your testimonials. And Tracy from our team, our executive producer, has been very close and on the front lines of creating client testimonial videos. And Tracy, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to like the starting line of putting together a client testimonial video, where do you recommend people start?
So when I start this conversation with our advisors, the first step is to identify who would be a good person to ask to go on video. I usually tell them it's best to find somebody whose story will resonate with other prospects and clients. For example, one advisor we worked with, we did 3 different testimonials for them. We picked an older couple who were able to talk about how the advisor set them up for a great retirement. Another one we did with a widow and how they helped her after that transition. And the third was a business owner. So think about those people that you work with and have great relationships with, whose story will resonate with other people. After identifying that person, we have a pre-planning call where I download from the advisor, everything that's important about that client, how long they worked with them, what kind of major life event they helped them through, and how they feel about each other. Like the older couple that we interviewed for this one client, just in talking to the advisor, I could tell how much there was a lot of love between them going both ways. And therefore, we were able to tailor the questions for their clients that really brought that out. And the candid Q&A style that Sharon mentioned, it brought out just a lot of really wonderful, warm stories about how they love their advisor and how they've worked successfully together for many years.
And you probably noticed as you watched that video, the disclaimer under Chuck when he came up, Chuck was not paid for this testimonial. So that's just another piece of collecting testimonials in video. But what I think is also really key is some of the rules for financial advisors. And Kelly, I know that you have a short tutorial, a short list for us. Can you walk us through the do's and don'ts?
Yeah. Do you have okay, perfect. Okay, so let's talk about what you can share. You can share client names. Now, the examples that I gave, we decided to go with first names only. That was the advisor's choice. So it's up to you and of course your client, what you're comfortable with. You can share comments from your clients. You can also share opinions or testimonials from your COIs. However, if you are not an RIA, at least with Raymond James, it has to be an individual. So if it's a COI, it can't be this law firm says this. It has to be this specific person at this law firm said this. And then lastly, awards. There's been a lot of restrictions around awards in the past, and they're lifting a lot of those, specifically showing it like on your email signature or on your website. However, as Lauren and I have talked about in the past, a lot of awards are still going to ask that you pay to use the name of the award. So something to be aware of.
They are not cheap. I do love that COI idea though, because we have at Idea Decanter have been pretty focused on clients saying great things. If having a strategy of your network of other professionals, if you're trying to build that out, and I know Elise is on this call, and Elise has talked about their experience in helping advisors really connect with COIs and build those relationships in that network, that could be a really valuable way to expand your network. I love that, Kelly.
Yeah. Next, you do have to have some disclosures. So you have to mention if it's a client or a third party, and you'd have to include any material conflicts. So pretty straightforward there. Oh, this person gave a testimonial, but I also offered them a $25 Amazon gift card. So anything like that, you'd have to disclose. So let's talk about where you can share it. Again, static content, meaning people cannot interact with it. They cannot comment, like, share. Well, maybe they could share, but not on social media. So you can do websites, brochures, banners, signs, case studies, newsletters. So anything that people cannot interact with, and it does not change depending how the user interacts on the platform. So what I mean by that is LinkedIn, as you interact with content on LinkedIn and Facebook, you're going to be shown content based on what you've interacted with, which the SEC is then going to consider a targeted ad if you're putting a testimonial out.
Kelly, this might be not your area of expertise, but what if somebody on LinkedIn or Facebook like says something nice on your page? Do you have to delete that comment?
My understanding is you can leave it. You just cannot interact with it in any way. You can't like it, and you cannot comment. You cannot share it. You just have to leave it as is. Same thing if they say something bad. So if they say something good, at least they're saying something good that you can't interact with. But if they say something bad, you have to leave it. Good to know.
Kelly, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the static versus the interactive, that link that you're using in like your PowerPoint and your other pieces, can you put that link on like your LinkedIn about? So it's leading somebody.
My understanding is you can.
Okay.
Now we haven't tried it yet. So there's always a chance compliance will come back and tell us no, but I don't see why we can't.
Okay, thanks.
So what's not approved, third-party business listings like Google, Yelp, Angie's List, LinkedIn recommendation or endorsement feature. That's something that you can turn off on your LinkedIn settings. Facebook ratings and reviews. Again, I believe you can turn those off on the back end. And then, like we said, if someone leaves a good or bad comment on your social media, you cannot engage with it in any way. And then testimonials based on performance. You don't want someone saying, my portfolio grew by 12% and yours can too, for obvious reasons.
And then if you are putting any videos on YouTube, there is a global setting to turn off the comments on YouTube so that you don't have to interact with anything.
I think if you were going to do a testimonial based on performance, you'd probably want to say my portfolio grew by 300%, not 12%. But I love these rules. We have a minute or two for questions. If you have something, you can drop it in the chat, or please just open up your mic and ask away. Silence. Callie, you did such a good job covering it.
And did you say that you had that PDF document available?
Yes, we have a PDF of what's allowed, what's not allowed on our website. You sign up as what we call a savvy advisor. We've got resources there. It's all free. It just allows us to keep in contact with you.
And we'll send out a recording of this call, and we'll also include the link to Callie's Savvy Advisor access.
Well, one question, Laura, do you guys guide us like you do on our videos? Where the link that we use to record our videos, is that available through Idea Decanter, or is this something we do on our own?
Yes, it is available through Idea Decanter. I would say, Steve, that the biggest difference between how you recorded videos and how we recommend doing client testimonials is that there's pre-planning, but there's no script. So the client would be interviewed, and then the story would be built in post-production as opposed to in advance in a Muse session.
But you guys would edit that and do all the things you do.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
hi, Sharon.
Hi, Steve.
Good to see you. Well,
Good to
let's
see you.
tell you about our next ABA next month, so you can mark your calendars. We have some amazing advisor marketers, and we're going to quiz them on what they are doing in 2023, how they are making some tweaks to their marketing just based on, the state of finance right now. So mark your calendars for March 22nd. They are all kind of on the cutting edge of marketing, and we'll have some great information for you.
And then, as always, our quote for this month is: a brand is no longer what we tell the consumer it is what the consumer tells each other it is. From Scott Cook.